Hey everyone, it's your girl, hashtag JLoan in the building. Happy Tuesday and happy Valentine's Day. Baby, it's you. You're the one I love. You're the one I need. You're the only one I see. Come on, baby, it's you. All right, just a little love song for you guys. You know, I love you guys. I come to you every Tuesday trying to bring you new information about the mortgage business to help you through your journey, whether that's now or whether that's years from now, just trying to help you with some education. And today, one, I hope you're having a fantastic Valentine's Day with either yourself or someone you love, your kids, your family. Again, I hear it when I go into Walgreens or anything when I do things for my kids, and I always hear, we celebrate love every day. Well, guess what? Today's an extra special day, okay? Buy an extra chocolate bar. Let's not be extra. Just buy a chocolate bar. Tell somebody you love them today, even though we know that you love them 365 days out the year. Today's a day just to show a little extra love in the world. Maybe smile at someone, pay it forward, drive through the Starbucks line, buy somebody behind you. Just take this moment to spread your light and your joy in the world. Okay, so now we're going to get into our Mortgage Tip Tuesday. And it's very important because I want you to listen very clearly because in our business, guidelines change all the time. And it's super important for you to not only work with a lender who updates their guidelines, but the loan officers study and learn your guidelines. One of my first bosses ever, love him to death, James Talbot. He told me if you learn your guidelines, you will set your part from other loan officers because a lot of loan officers are lazy and they don't want to learn the guidelines. And because of that, I always read my guidelines. And when someone came to me from another lender that couldn't do a loan, I was able to do the loan because I knew the guidelines. And so there's something big going on that's going to be a big change in our business when it comes to something called LLPAs. And what this stands for is loan level price adjustments. And so the question becomes, have you ever done a loan maybe at the same time as your friend, but either your rate was different or your cost for the rate were different, and you may have thought, well, why didn't I get what they got? And the reason why is because there's these things called LLPAs that actually um, differentiate why you may get a different rate from someone else. And that could be based on credit score, that could be based on loan to value, that could be based on the type of property, that could be based on whether you have a second lien. It could be based on several reasons, and we call them hits to the rate. Okay, so you start out with a base rate and pricing, and then after all of these hits to the rate, it will determine what your final rate is. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen real quick to make it a little clear, and you're going to see my screen split because what's happening is there's going to be changes to the LLPAs coming up, and it's going to affect your pricing. So let's talk about that. So let me get to the screen right here and hopefully you can see it. I'll move myself up here. Well, right here on the left-hand side, you'll notice that it says this matrix is effective for all loans purchased on or after May 1st. This is telling you that this left-hand side is what is going to change in the coming months. So what happens is if you get a quote today and you're shopping, your rate come around April 15th will be different because this is not your closing date. This is Fannie Mae's purchase date from the lender. When we close, we then deliver that, and that has to be there by May 1st, or you're subject to these new pricing hits. Okay, and so it's very important to know that this is coming, and that we are going to price you effective by your closing date or when we expect you to close, so that we don't give you a rate today and then 60 days, 75 days from now, you come back and you're ready to buy, and now your pricing is totally different, or your rate is totally different. Okay. And then there's changes coming that are definitely going to hurt. So let's talk about that. All right. So I'm only going to go over the purchase side of this. So on the right hand side over here where my cursor is, this is what the current LLPAs are for purchase loans. And on the left hand side, this is what is to come. So let's focus on the right hand side for now. Okay, so where my cursor is. As you notice, the representative credit score at 740 or higher, these are all the LLPAs for your different loan to values. And then if you look right here underneath, it says all eligible loans and then product feature. Is this an adjustable rate mortgage? Is this a manufactured home? Is this an investment property? And then on the sheet, it continues to go down to something different at currently. And just so you know, if you look at the top, you can find this. This is public information at singlefamily.fanniemae.com, or you can just search into Google Fannie Mae LLPAs, and this information will come up. But in order to get the old sheet, I had to click right here for the matrix effective until this date so that we can do a comparison to show you the differences. So as you can see right here on the right hand side, it stops at 740 or higher. But if you look at the LLPAs coming, even if you have excellent credit scores, we're talking about above 740. If you notice right here, there are adjustments for credit scores that are higher than 740. So it goes all the way up to 780 plus scores. You're now going to have adjustments on here that are higher than what were before. Okay, so that's a big difference right there. And then if you notice too here, the lower credit scores that are, below 680, their adjustments are pretty good now. They actually went down some. So if you notice 640 to 659 at 75 to 80% loan to value, it will have a hit against your pricing of 2.25%. But if you look at that same one right here to 75 to 80, it was 3%. So some went up and some went down. So that's a big adjustment. And keep in mind, this is just for conventional loans. This is not for your FHA, your VA, your USDA. Okay. So now let's look now at these additional LLPAs. So you remember here on the right hand side, we just had adjustable rate, manufactured home, investment property. But the biggest change that came is if you look all the way at the bottom on the left-hand side, it says DTI ratio above 40%. And this is huge. And keep in mind, these LLPAs are stackable. Okay, so for instance, if you had a 780 score and you were putting 20% down, you'd have this hit right here of 0.375. But if you're also buying a second home, if we look down to the third column and go all the way over to 80%, you now also have a hit of 3.375% towards your actual rate pricing. So to explain that to you, every rate is associated with pricing, okay? And against that pricing are these hits. And sometimes these hits will cause you to have a higher interest rate, or you can pay all of these LLPAs out of pocket at closing. That's a choice. You can actually hide it in your interest rate, or you can pay to have the lower interest rate. You can pay for all of these adjustments at closing. So again, these are stackable things. So everything that applies to you. So in addition to that, if you happen to have a 41% debt to income, well, guess what? Now you also have this 0.375% hit. And this is huge. This is going to be a reason that could possibly hurt borrowers from qualifying, whether financially, or will cause you to have higher interest rates, which may knock you out of qualifying or make your debt to income over 40%. Now, as you know, rates can, we can qualify typically people up to 50% debt to income on some conventional loans. So just understand that you will now have these hits that's going to increase either your rate or your out of pocket expenses. Okay, so I think it's very important for you to check out this website, know what's coming, so that you can best prepare. And again, it's very important that you understand that this is right around the corner. So come tomorrow, if we lock a 60-day loan, because we're preparing for this to happen, um, we are making sure that we have enough time to close and package and get the loan to Fannie Mae so that you're not subject to any of these new things. But after that 60-day, you're subject to these new rules, guidelines, LLPAs that can affect your loan. So the biggest thing is debt to income. And the reason why I wanted to get on this, because it's very, very rare. I'm telling you, even with A plus borrowers, or my lower score borrowers, my first time home buyers, there is a lot of debt in the world. And that doesn't mean you can't qualify for a loan. It just means it's very rare that I have an application where a borrower is lower than 40% debt to income. It's very rare. Not saying that I don't have it, but especially with my first time home buyers, their debt to incomes are always over 40%. So what I wanted to talk about really quickly is how can you lower your debt before purchasing a home? And if you have credit cards, I'm just going to give you one tip. How I typically advise you to pay down your debt is we're going to start with your high interest credit cards, okay? So let's just say you have 5 credit cards. On all 4, we're going to pick one that has either the highest interest rate, is what I typically would say to do, but I always like to pay off more than less. So I say highest interest rate or the lowest amount due. Okay. Now, people may disagree, but again, just hear me out. Okay. What you're going to do is on these 4, you're going to make just the minimum payment. And on this one that we're working on, I want you to pay the max comfortably that you could pay, hopefully double to triple what that minimum payment is due. Okay? And you're going to do this until you pay off this card. Now, I don't want you to close this card because that could hurt your credit, and we don't want to hurt your credit when you're getting ready to buy your home. So this card is now paid off, but we don't want you to close it, and I also don't want you to kind of stop using it. This is going to pay for that one-time gas, and then you're going to pay it back down, okay? Minimally. And now you're going to do the same thing to this card, this card, this card, and this card. The reason why I say pay lower first is because every file I see, a borrower may have a really big credit card with a $4,000 balance on it. But these right here are all your little ones, your targets, your just a little card you had, and it has a $500 limit, $300 limit. Well, you could technically pay off all 4 of these and boost your credit score, because now you don't have a high ratio to limits. And then we'll focus on the big one, right? Because this one may stress you out, this one may take you longer, right? But if you could pay off 4 and then you just have this one, man, I know that you can see the end of the road, the sun shining. So if you can continue to do this, and then we'll narrow down eventually, just give me a call. We'll take a look at it and narrow down which ones you want to keep. Again, don't ever close the card, and keep in mind, if you decide to close a card, make sure it's not the card that you've had for the longest period of time, because one of the things that affects your credit score is your length of credit history. So if you have a new card that you just opened and you closed one from 10 years ago, you just hurt your credit score and you made your credit score go down. Well, with the new LLPAs and all the new hits that are coming for credit score and debt to income and all these things that are coming, you really want to put yourself in the best position to purchase a home, get the best interest rates and the best pricing. So again, I hope this helps you. Again, I want you to have a fantastic Valentine's Day. I love y'all. Until next Tuesday, I want you to be safe. I want you to be blessed and have a fantastic rest of your week. Bye bye.